And I guess there's some people moving and, talking in Congress about maybe doing a bump, but that's not going anywhere. So once again, we're in a situation where you almost would have to redo what ACORN did in a number of those campaigns to have a chance to push the needle back to where it would be. You will see, even with no change, where we won cost of living indexes on minimum wage in Florida and so many other states. If that chart that was in the Times is revisited every year, you'll see the gap between some of those victories we won in 2004 and 2006 start to elongate bigger and bigger. That's certainly what's happened in San Francisco. So in fact, it makes a difference that something like ACORN's not there, that's willing to start at a very neighborhood level and deal with, the defining criticism on the left always of community organizing is that these are stop sign campaigns. And, that's certainly true. You have to have a real base that actually, has a reason to pay dues and feels like they're engaged, and it can be a million issues. But brothers and sisters, if we really wanted power anywhere in the world, if we could deal with drainage problems, loose dogs, and, the lack of street maintenance, you would almost be able to organize anywhere in the world, not just in America, a mass-based movement on those issues. So these are not insignificant once you start cobbling them all together, and if the agenda is overtly about power. Certainly, there's nothing good any of us can say about civic associations particularly. At least there's nothing good I can say particularly about civic associations, but community organizations that are about building power and are membership-based can certainly take, the record of success in many issues. And I think ACORN at its best was able to establish that if you started putting together those networks on the city level and then the state level, you could deal with devolution and what was moving in that direction, and even in some rare cases at a national level. Internationally, that's a whole other story. That's what I've learned. I left ACORN in June 2nd of 2008. So saw the outcome of some programs that I was responsible for obviously turn into being very problematic, particularly around voter registration in 2008, where ACORN first became, went from being in the New York Times, the, little-known community organization ACORN, to being the, sort of the end of democratic freedom as we know it, according to Fox News and Brother Glenn Beck and so many others. And I got, to be the founder of the neo-communist movement here in this country and around the world. And I think, Joel, you probably, got mentioned several times in various wizardry I've heard about. And, I really wasn't able to keep up with the whole Glenn Beck phenomena. And it's just a wonderful thing that he got so greedy he's off of Fox News, so that now he's, who knows what he's saying, but I'm sure it's vivid. But the long and short of it was that, the behind-the-scenes story is certainly we'd had an aggressive, robust debate internally within ACORN, the board, at the board level and staff level, going into 2008, whether or not we were going to participate in voter registration in that cycle. This was not a new strategy. Every 2 years or a 10-year period, there was an effort to challenge the accuracy of our voter registration. So in 2004, we'd had, FEC complaints filed in Florida, Ohio, Pennsylvania. It's a battleground state. They're going to file on that. And it had always been cyclical. They'd file it within a month, 6 weeks of the general election. Sometimes they would have something to go with it. They had a guy they, tried to say had forged signatures in Florida in 2004 before the Bush election. But then once the election was over and once the, the calendar turned to a new year, it would all disappear. They would withdraw their complaints. They would be filed by individuals or the RNC. So this had become, I don't want to say that we were inured to it. It was always, a difficult problem. You always had to get lawyers. You always had to spend money. People had to turn up with documents. But it was their,